Good evening, church. It's Tuesday, and if you were in person in worship on Sunday, then you saw me make a big old mistake in the midst of worship, but it ended up being okay. I kept my cool, I fixed it, we put it in later, and it was fine, and I went about my life. But there was a time in my life where that sort of mistake would have just destroyed me emotionally and left me thinking, oh shoot, I guess I better do something else with my life because I can't do this again. Well, that brings us to today's topic, which is shame and embarrassment. I think embarrassment is just kind of a lesser form of shame, but it's just the same emotion twisted to a lesser degree. Now, this emotion is incredibly useful, but as with most things, it's only useful when viewed and used properly. Now, first off, the church has an awful history with shame. Namely, we have a centuries-long reputation of shaming people in order to control people's behavior or just to plain be mean. And for the record, most of these things don't have much to do with scripture at all. We shamed people for all kinds of things, like getting a divorce, running in the sanctuary, wearing clothing that showed more than one's hands and face, consuming alcohol, loving someone of your own gender, watching and enjoying the new Barbie movie, listening to rock and roll, mowing your lawn on a Sunday, putting the potato salad in the wrong spot in the potluck table line, or wearing the wrong sort of robe while preaching. Yes, all sorts of ridiculous things. Whenever shame is discussed in conjunction with the church, it is almost always an example of the destructive nature of shame being improperly used to tear somebody else down over something absurd. This is bad shame, and we shouldn't be letting people make us feel this kind of shame. And we ourselves shouldn't be doing anything that tries to heap this shame on people. On the other end of the spectrum of how we can view shame is something that seems to be happening more and more often lately, and that's running away from shame. Let's say you're with a certain group of people and you crack a joke that you think is going to be okay, but the group reacts negatively and lets you know that it was an inappropriate joke to make. Well, then you feel shame, you feel bad about it. And so the most popular way of reacting to this is to just, well, I'm never going to be around those people again, and just run away. But this is a mistake. This is a bad way of dealing with shame. But this can happen with everything, not just making a joke. Like, for instance, let's say I make an error in my summer volleyball league that cost my team the game. Well, time to quit volleyball. I look at a picture, my new friend shows me a picture of themselves with somebody else, and I say, oh wow, when did you meet Morgan Freeman? And he says, that's my mom. Well, I guess it's time to start looking for a different friend. I spilled coffee on my lap at work right before a big presentation. Well, dang, I sure liked this job, but I guess it's time to quit because I surely can't recover from this one. That's an improper attitude toward shame, because shame is an emotion that's developed to give us a reason to improve. See, way back when we were hunter-gatherer tribes, and even later closer to now than that, we needed to stick together because humans were not really good at surviving out there in the wild on our own, particularly back in the Stone Age. And in a community like that, there were rules and expectations that developed for the health of the group. Things like taking stuff from others, that's a bad thing for the group. That harms individuals, that harms the group. So if you were caught stealing, well, then they respond angrily and negatively, and that gives you a sense of shame because you violated those rules, those important rules. So you are then left with two options. You can either leave the group and go die out there in the wild by yourself, or you can change your behavior to avoid feeling that shame ever again, whilst still being in community. And that is what shame is supposed to do. Push us to become better, to change our behavior, to do better and avoid that emotion of shame. Now, so instead of me running away from situations in which I feel embarrassed, I need to go back and learn from those situations and improve. Figure out what I did wrong so I can do things differently and not do something that will lead to me feeling that shame. I can practice volleyball to be a better asset to my team. I can practice my apology skills on my friend and learn that, maybe I need to stop and think. Just give a little pause before I say something to give my brain a chance to stop me from saying anything that's going to make me embarrassed. And at work, I can maybe be a little more conscientious when I'm drinking my coffee, so I don't accidentally spill all over myself. And I can get rid of that travel mug that failed me that first time and led to that embarrassing situation in the first place. And now, so if you're in a situation where someone is trying to make you feel shame for something ridiculous, well, don't be quick to run off then either. It can be an opportunity to practice being assertive and sticking up for yourself and fighting against someone who is using shame improperly. So the next time you feel shame because you made a mistake, or maybe you're not too great at something, don't let that feeling drive you off. No, do not. Take it as an opportunity to push yourself to improve, to be better in whatever way in regard to whatever you're feeling ashamed about. Take an opportunity to push yourself to get better. None of us are great at something when we first start, so we're bound to make mistakes. We're gonna feel embarrassed, and this goes from everything from new hobbies to new jobs to acts of service done to further Jesus Christ and done in devotion to Jesus Christ here on earth. Don't run away. Learn from your experience and let that urge to avoid shame push you to improve, so that one day you can be like me and make a big public mistake and not let it emotionally destroy you. Friends, I pray for strength for all of us as we grapple through the embarrassing, the shame-inducing times of life. And I implore you to take care of yourselves, take care of one another. Share this with a friend if you found it beneficial, and I'll see you next time.